everybody, and welcome to the Shernoff award-winning program. Welcome to the Season 2 premiere of So Says Shernoff, right here on Fight TV. I'm Josh Shernoff, and it is good to be back. I feel like I haven't done an episode since last year. Well, I am here, and you are here, and I am ready to send some of my Shernoff sarcasm right through that camera, through your screen, and right into your living room, or more likely bathroom, where you're probably watching this. Isn't technology great? So much to get into tonight. If you are just joining us for the first time, you should really binge watch Season 1 or you'll never know how I got this beard. It's your choice. All right, enough of this. Let's get to some headlines. So much has happened already in 2020, but I'd be remiss if I didn't cover some headlines on the way out of 2019. On the final episode of AEW Dynamite in 2019, the company obviously wanted to go out with a bang. Well, it was a shot seen around the world, just not heard or felt. The Dark Order segment that closed 2019 showed the Elite surrounded by creepers. No, not that kind.
Wow.
There we go, okay. While the final shot saw a bloodied Matt Jackson lying on the mat beneath the cult-like faction of the Dark Order, that was definitely not the lasting image of AEW on the way out of the decade. That would be this. So, this mystery man broke the internet with these punches that couldn't break an egg, let alone Dustin Rhodes' face. Now, here's what I see. A guy whose vision is obstructed by a mask throwing a couple of misplaced shots at the, we'll say, left shoulder of a legend that he was obviously worried about hurting. What the internet saw was an opportunity to take shots at AEW and this masked mystery man. And while everyone is entitled to their opinions, I just wanted to point out the wee bit of hypocrisy as it relates to some of the talent that got involved. I'm going to focus this rant on two in particular, Mark Henry and Randy Orton. Let's start with Randy Orton. Seen here, kicking the ever-loving wait, no, he missed that by a mile. Randy Orton, who has had more than his fair share of botched moves, took to Twitter in response to the, we'll call it, Fist Sans Fury, and said he apparently is a seasoned vet and is used to live TV and just assumed that the camera to his left was the one with that red dot thingy on it for those horrendous effing punches. Hashtag work on your punch, kid. Okay. He chimed in, took a shot at someone for not having experience on live TV. Okay, fair enough. He then continued, or quit the biz because you're the drizzling shits, which, okay, that's your opinion. He then added, though, or you can come to the top company and I'll teach you one of the most important aspects of our biz, throwing an effing punch emoji. So to be clear, Randy Orton insulted the masked man for not knowing where the camera was, told him to quit, and then invited him to work for the WWE, presumably to learn from people like Sasha Banks, seen here stomping a mud hole in the nope, she never connected. And that's my point. Were the punches awful? Yes, they were terrible, but it was an accident by someone with much less experience than some of the superstars in the WWE who have botched so much worse and so much more often. Mr. Mark Henry, you are a Hall of Famer, but to say that you were at a Hall of Fame level in the start of your career would be like saying Shane McMahon knows how to throw a worked punch. Yet, you had things to say like, quote, fire this person now. I just think a person who knows how hard it is to overcome your own bad wrestling would have a little more compassion. I mean, seriously, watch any of your first few years. It's just hypocritical of anyone in the business to make the statements these wrestlers made. And in fairness to Orton, though, his first few years were ridiculously impressive, but still, he made mistakes. Either way, it was addressed by AEW in two interesting ways. One was to poke fun at themselves with the Being the Elite segment, and the other was to actually show it on air and address it as showing mercy, which I think was brilliantly done. But the real mystery in all of this is who was the man behind the mask? Well, I have narrowed it down to two people. It's either me, think about it, I'm always backstage at AEW, yet I don't work there. I'm about the same size as this guy. It makes sense. Only issue is, I don't pull punches. Also, I was here filming my show when all this went down, so it can't be me. So that only leaves one logical person. It was Butch Reed. Hashtag doom, hashtag Butch Reed facts. Ratings. We all love our ratings, don't we? Well, the ratings of the first shows of the year came in a few weeks ago and the internet went wild. AEW bested NXT by almost 500,000 viewers. However, while AEW put on an amazing show, NXT was an award show special. NXT should know better. NXT fans want wrestling, not a knockoff award show. They can find that elsewhere. And by the way, just a bit of advice from a pro. Year-end awards are usually held at the end of the year, not the beginning. Speaking of the beginning, this year is really starting off on the wrong foot for a lot of people in the wrestling business. From Sergeant Slaughter being called out for impersonating a Marine, to Tessa Blanchard being called out for spitting in a black woman's face and calling her the N-word. Man, when I say that second one, that first one doesn't sound so bad. But if true, that first one is pretty bad. The complaint against Slaughter isn't new, but with every passing year and every new claim that he was in the military, it gets worse. Look, it's really simple. If Slaughter tried to tell you wrestling was real and he was really a drill sergeant, then that's keeping kayfabe, an art that is lost on most wrestlers today. But if he's doing a so-called shoot interview and says, oh yeah, he and I had a bloodbath in the ring and then grabbed a beer after to discuss how well we fake fought each other and worked the crowd. Oh, and by the way, I was a Marine sergeant. That would be bad. I've yet to see a video of him doing the latter, so for now, Eddie's internet. Tessa Blanchard, though. When I first heard the news, I was like, what you gonna do? But then I thought about it, and here's what I've come up with. While she claims this never happened, a lot of people, including the woman who was allegedly spit on, are claiming it's very real. So I want to say this. If it didn't happen, that's terrible to accuse someone of something so heinous when you know they didn't do it. But if it is true, then I'd like to go back in time and never appear on Impact Wrestling to give Tessa the 2018 After Chat Female Wrestler of the Year award, along with my former co-host, Bill Apter. But I can't, because if it's all true, well, then I think we all remember that time Bill Apter single-handedly gave Tessa that award. Wow, all of this has been exhausting, and it made me want a vacation. I couldn't think of where to go, and then I turned on Raw a few weeks ago and saw Rusev vacationing on an island somewhere. It looked really nice, so I had my travel agent look into it, and turns out, for just $12, I can go to that island. In fact, for just $12 and a snap of my finger, I can do the rest of this segment from there. See? Well, that's all we have for, wait, I'm sorry, back to the studio. I'm getting word that Lars Sullivan was trending at the end of 2019. How did I miss that? I wonder what it was all about. Well, before the graphic shows up on the screen to tell me what happened, let me take a quick sip of my beverage, as I always do in the middle of a segment. Wow, I am sorry. Look, we all react differently to things. While I may have spit, I'm sure the same can't be said for everyone. So Lars Sullivan, the same guy who years ago made homophobic slurs on a bodybuilding message board, is back in the news. Apparently, when he wasn't busy degrading homosexuals, he was partaking in gay porn. And while that paints Lars with a big gay brush himself, here's what everyone is missing. I think he was just trying to grow as a person. He got some, let's say, blowback from making these homophobic slurs. People kept telling him that there was nothing wrong with being gay, and Lars merely decided the only way he could know for sure that he was right was to really dive deep inside the subject himself. Just weeks before this came out, there was rumor that he would be returning soon to WWE TV and getting ready for a WrestleMania match with John Cena. And in all seriousness, how can that happen now? Let me break this down the way I see it. First of all, and I can't stress this enough, there is nothing bad about being gay. If you think there is, I promise you there is something much worse about being you. But as it relates to Lars Sullivan, self-hate has got to be a terrible feeling. And I feel for him in that regard. But forgetting about the fact that he is clearly a self-hating gay man, he did porn, which in and of itself is fine, whatever. But he did it and never told the WWE. And people have been fired for less. Also, how do you rationalize keeping China out of the Hall of Fame for so many years because, quote, what if kids Google her, and then put Lars back on your TV PG program? I'm not saying he should be fired. I am saying that this needs a lot of thought and that Lars needs a lot of help that I hope he is getting. At the end of the day, we are all people, and to have something like that on the internet has got to be embarrassing. I'm reminded of that time someone posted a picture of me half naked without my consent. It still hurts. I just hope through all of this we have learned a valuable lesson. 2020 is going to be just as crazy and messed up as 2019. So buckle up. We'll be right back. Need a little extra boost in the bedroom? Go to BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is made with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. Blue Chew is chewable, which makes it the better, cheaper, and faster alternative. No in-person doctor's visits, no waiting in line, and best of all, no more awkwardness. Use the promo code JOSH when you order online to get your first month free. Just pay $5 shipping. Go to BlueChew.com and use the promo code JOSH. Welcome back to the show. Our main story tonight isn't something I can say from all the way down here. No, for this, I'm gonna need to step up on Shernoff's soapbox. Wrestling fans on social media. I mean, that kind of says it all right there, but man, social media has been giving a voice to those who should have remained voiceless ever since Amy updated her AOL profile in 1999. Hey Amy, Brad's da bomb, huh? Well, spoiler, Brad is also going to dry cars coming out of the car wash by hand as a full-time career at 40, and I have my own show, so suck it, Brad. Anyway, earlier we discussed celebrities negatively affecting a situation by posting online, but right now I want to talk about you, the fans. Well, not my fans because you're all awesome, but more specifically, the people I see post ridiculousness on our show's social media. Take this goober from YouTube. He posts this on a video of me interviewing AEW referee Aubrey Edwards. He writes, AEW gets good press because they gave all the wrestling journalists jobs. Shernoff has become a shill just like Chris Van Vliet. In fact, Shernoff actually said he'd say good things about AEW if they gave him a job. Okay, there's a lot of shit to unpack from this diaper. First of all, let's talk about me being a shill. Believing in a company and product doesn't mean you're a shill. I have been honest about the things I don't like. There just aren't a lot of things I don't like in AEW. That doesn't make me a shill. That makes me a fan. And the whole Shernoff said he would say good things about AEW if they gave me a job? Of course I would. That's called being a good employee. How long do you think anyone would be employed at any job if they talk crap about their employer in a public forum? For the record, I don't remember ever saying that, and when our show dug deeper, this guy claimed I had said it on a video on Facebook. We could not find the alleged video, but giving him the benefit of the doubt, which he absolutely does not deserve, maybe I did say it as a joke on my monthly satirical news show. But then again, it's not really a joke, since as I just said, I would say nice things if I worked for them. But I would say nice things about an employer even if I didn't feel forced into it. I say nice things about Fight TV because I genuinely believe in them as a company, not just because I work with them. Does that make me a shill? Well, that depends on what Fight TV wants me to say. I'll just say whatever they want. Here's another one that tickled me. Last month, we gave an award to Hulk Hogan for his revisionist history of the first 4 members of the NWO. I pointed out that Ted DiBiase was the 4th member and X-Pac was the 6th. The internet was very quick to correct me with comments like this. Giant was the 4th, DiBiase was 5th, and Syxx was 6th. If you're gonna correct Hogan, make sure your facts are correct. Ouch. They got me there. Only they didn't, because DiBiase joined on August 26, 1996, whereas the Giant joined a week later on September 2nd. Look, I appreciate your help, but if you're gonna correct my show, make sure your facts are correct. The confidence shown by these internet fans is astounding when they are almost always wrong. Wrestling fans have oversimplified the complexities of this industry, from talking about booking of matches or pushes or moves in the ring. I've said this on the show before. If you are a wrestling fan, just sit back and enjoy it. When I was a kid, I didn't obsess over contracts and pushes. I obsessed over how to get a copy of their entrance musics and whether or not I could pull off a mullet, like a normal person. It seems like nobody hates pro wrestling more than internet wrestling fans. The tough part, however, is deciphering misguided fans from trolls. If you're a true blue fan who believes they really know what's going on because they read it in a dirt sheet or dreamt it up the night before, then whatever, post your thoughts. When I was a kid, I had to argue with friends over whether or not there were 2 Ultimate Warriors, even though we all know there were not 2. There were 5. Dingo, IC Warrior, World Champ Warrior, Hat Warrior, and WCW Warrior. You can't argue with facts. But the ones that really put my through the salad shooter are the trolls. The people who are there to cause trouble in an already pretty troubled place. They get off on stirring the pot. They make up rumors that they know are not true. They sometimes claim a wrestler died, which crosses so many lines. How would you like to hop on Twitter to find out your friend and or loved one or colleague has died, only to discover that it was some loser's sick joke? These trolls don't care about the real people behind the wrestlers or even the real people behind the keyboards reading this crap. But how do we stop these people? There's one guy out there who every couple of weeks changes his Twitter handle to impersonate another wrestling legend. There are people pretending to be wrestling reporters making up news. How do we stop these people? Well, I have 2 suggestions. One, make the choice to only get your wrestling news from a trusted source, like So Says Shernoff on Fight TV. Or just ignore it. Now, that second one is easier said than done and may be impossible for fans to be on social media and not get sucked in. So I'm going to shift gears to the wrestlers on social media. In my opinion, there is nothing worse than seeing a wrestler or wrestling personality argue with a troll on Twitter. It belittles you as a star and gives that troll the exposure and response they want. I know we are all people with feelings, but engaging is not the answer. It doesn't help anyone. Worse than that, it validates this toxic form of communication. The Young Bucks, they left Twitter because of this, and they seem to be doing just fine. So I suggest that if you are an established star or legend in this business, you leave social media, or at least have someone else handle it for you. Post about appearances and respond to real fans, but never engage in the hate. For those of us out there just trying to make a name for ourselves, social media and Twitter specifically is kind of a must. You have to be there engaging with fans and building your brand. But I still say do not engage in the hate. If someone posts something rude or even just wrong, don't even dignify it with a response. Just ignore it. And if you really can't ignore it, then dedicate an entire segment of your show to publicly embarrassing these losers. Trust me, it feels good. We'll be right back. Need a little extra boost in the bedroom? Go to BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is made with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. Blue Chew is chewable, which makes it the better, cheaper, and faster alternative. No in-person doctor's visits, no waiting in line, and best of all, no more awkwardness. Use the promo code JOSH when you order online to get your first month free. Just pay $5 shipping. Go to BlueChew.com and use the promo code JOSH. Welcome back to the show. As some of you may know, our show was mentioned on this week's episode of Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. And since we thought that might create a little crossover in the fan base, we thought we would air my interview with the busiest man on earth, Conrad Thompson. Now, This interview took place on October 2nd at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., just hours before the debut of AEW Dynamite. Even though it's a few months old, I promise you, it's worth a watch. My guest now, no stranger to Fight TV or to AEW, no stranger to professional wrestling in general. Please welcome the Podfather himself, Mr. Conrad Thompson. Conrad, thank you so much for being here.
Dude, what a setup you have here. There's 38 cameras. I'm not sure where to look right here.
I just choose one and
look
hope
at that one, or we're going to look at this one. I'm more of a podcast guy, man. I don't have to figure out what to do with my hands or what camera to look at. There's a lot going on here today.
Just sit, just relax. Somehow I feel like you're going to be okay. You can do this.
Well, I'm not as prepared as you. This tie today is next level. The Shernoff S. I mean, I feel underdressed. I didn't know I'd be on camera today, so I'm ready to hang. And you're out here making us look bad, man.
Hey, well, I have to work. You're just hanging out. You're Conrad Thompson.
Oh my God.
You walk in here. You know what? Which I say I have to work. This guy works 8 days a week. Okay, he has 150 podcasts that he's doing. So don't listen to me. It is great to have you here. AEW and StarCast.
Yep.
They're synonymous with each other. The StarCast 4 has been announced. Baltimore, the same weekend as AEW Full Gear. Can you tell us a little bit about StarCast?
Well, we're excited. You know, I'm a big fan of Baltimore wrestling and their rich history, and I wanted to sort of pay homage to yesteryear. So we've been rolling out a bit of a theme. We haven't just hit people over the head with saying it, but it's an early 90s WCW theme. So we've announced lots of fun acts. Like we've got Sting in the red, white, and blue for the first time in nearly 30 years. I mean, that's the 9-year-old in me, right? So we'll have him in the red, white, and blue paint and the jacket and the real original big gold belt he won that night. What a cool photo op. Then we got RoboCop and we got Shockmaster and we got lots of fun names.
The Yeti.
The Yeti
will be there. It is the Yeti! It is the Yeti! It is the Yeti! StarCast is an event, if you've never been, you should go. And if you can't go, you have to go to Fight TV to watch it. The stage shows, nothing's been announced yet.
No, I'll give you some spoilers right here.
Right now.
Give you some scoops. We're going to do one that we're calling Inside the Rhodes, hosted by Kenny McIntosh, who normally does Inside the Ropes, but this time we've got the whole Rhodes clan. So we'll have Dustin, we'll have Cody, we'll have Brandy. That's going to be a home run segment. We've got another one called The Great American Baltimore, where we sort of pay homage to, all the prior years that we had Great American Bash right there in Baltimore. We've also got a panel with, I think we're announcing today that Taz will be there, and Taz never leaves the house. It's a big deal. It's a lot of negotiations, brother, to get Taz to leave, but we got him to leave the house. He's going to come down, and he's going to have a panel with Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Marco Stunt. So lots of AEW-themed stuff on Saturday, or on Friday, rather, and on Saturday you'll get tons of old classic stuff that I'm pretty excited about, including a panel with Colt Cabana featuring a lot of the enhancement talent from back in the day. And the name of the panel is We Made the Stars of StarCast. So that's interesting panels and perspectives this year. And
that's something that's really special about StarCast. You talked about the AEW involvement there, of having talent there. You really are paying homage to the past while showcasing the present and the future. And it's a really exciting convention to be a part of. I've been to every one. I love it. If I wasn't there with StarCast or Fight TV, I would absolutely be there as a fan. And again, if I couldn't, I'd be watching on Fight.tv. I want to talk to you a little bit about, I think it's such a great story how StarCast came to be and its connection to AEW. Can you tell us a little bit about that chance meeting with Cody in Baggage Claim, I believe it was?
Yeah, International Baggage Claim, January of last year. They had been teasing this big show. They wanted to run a 10,000-seat arena. And I had this idea, I want to do a wrestling podcast convention. And Bruce Pritchard told me that was the dumbest idea he'd ever heard and it would never work. So I just sort of let it go and just shelved the idea. And then I bumped into Cody and we started DMing or text messaging, whatever it was. And then I made the pitch for, hey, what if we did it surrounding your show? And he said, what would that look like? And I put together a really nice Word document and emailed it over. A few days later, he got back with me and said, hey, me and the boys love it. Here's our concerns. We quickly mowed those down, and I became an accidental convention promoter. Not once, not twice, or 3 times, but I guess 4 now. And we're making history every time, doing stuff people thought would never happen, like CM Punk. You know,
Right.
he's totally not a part of the wrestling conversation. He does StarCast, and now everyone's Twitter feed is, what is CM Punk going to do? So we're making headlines and making a lot of news and having fun doing it. And with a great partner like AEW, I mean, these guys are so supportive to come in the day before a giant pay-per-view and meet fans and give back to the fans. But that's really what, you know, the whole thing was built on. Everything happening behind us is because of a YouTube series called Being the Elite. Yeah. StarCast is because of Being the Elite and the power of YouTube, which is the power of the fans. And the fans have voted for this to happen, and that's my goal with StarCast, is to build something for the fans, by the fan, because I'm just a fan, and we think StarCast is a blast.
And, you know, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit for what you've done with the podcast to kind of bring some lapsed fans back into professional wrestling. And I think it's worked perfectly together, because you brought those fans back in, paying a little bit of attention. Oh, what's Conrad doing with this StarCast thing? Oh, there's this All In. Oh, there's this AEW. And it's really bringing people back to that, you mentioned the 9-year-old kid in you.
Sure.
This. It's really bringing people back to that excitement that maybe they haven't felt in pro wrestling for a long time. Did you think when All In happened, did you ever imagine that just a little over a year later we would be in a place like this, the Capital One Arena, 14,000 people are going to be here? Did you ever think that they'd be airing a weekly show on TNT, that was where this All In event was headed?
No. You know, I've been friends with Tony for a long time through the podcast. He was DMing me during the Ric Flair show, or the Woo Nation episodes on Play.it. So I've known Tony for years and years and knew he was a big wrestling fan and knew he had the resources, but this is just like fantasy stuff for a wrestling fan. We've always sort of longed for, will there ever be competition again? Will there ever be another WCW? And that's not what this is, but it is competition. It is a choice. It is something else on a big scale. And I never imagined that it would actually be a thing. Even when I heard his name and heard, it's my buddy involved? Okay, well, he can really do it. But I just sort of assumed when it came contract time, a lot of those guys were going to go somewhere else. I thought the Bucks would wind up in WWE. I thought they'd be on SmackDown wrestling the New Day. And I thought for sure Kenny Omega was going to re-sign, and, you know, he would be wrestling AJ Styles at WrestleMania or whatever. I don't think I ever imagined that the stars would align the way they did. And it's something else. But the TNT thing, the first time Tony mentioned that to me was probably last September. And I was like, now, how are you getting it on TNT? And the whole story, which I don't know that he's revealed a ton of, is just bumped into a guy at a party and was like, oh, you work at TNT? And from there, it just grew. And it's like, how does all of this it was meant to be. You know?
It really was, yeah. Just chance meetings after chance meetings and just everything. It's the perfect time. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Great time to be involved in the professional wrestling business as a whole. The last thing I want to say here, you have managed to do something that I'm not sure anyone else has ever done. I mean, you have shows with people from the WWE. You have shows with people from AEW. You are the common thread in professional wrestling.
The Forrest Gump of wrestling.
Yeah. You've been in every
Also from Alabama. No reason for him to be here. Why is that there? Like, right? This makes no sense.
No, but you know what? But you absolutely have secured your spot as a personality in this industry. You mentioned just being a fan, and I think that's the fun for everybody here, myself included. We're all just fans of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
We love this. And to see the energy and the excitement in the locker room, the energy that's going to be in here in just a couple of hours, I think it's incredible the stuff that you're doing. It seems like everybody that works with you, really good things happen. So can we just call this a podcast right now? That you and I, we've done one episode of a podcast here, and this will be really beneficial for me.
Yeah, it's weird. You know, I booked Taker for StarCast 2. And he has to pull out because WWE makes him, even though he has a signed contract. But then he winds up with a lifetime deal with WWE. It's like,
well, I'm gonna let you go. Conrad has 3 podcasts that start in about 30 seconds that he has to record. Conrad Thompson, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me.
Hey, man, thanks for having
me. Thank you to Conrad and you to the Yeti. We'll be right back. Need a little extra boost in the bedroom? Go to BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is made with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. Blue Chew is chewable, which makes it the better, cheaper, and faster alternative. No in-person doctor's visits, no waiting in line, and best of all, no more awkwardness. Use the promo code JOSH when you order online to get your first month free. Just pay $5 shipping. Go to BlueChew.com and use the promo code JOSH. Welcome back. That's our show. Make sure to follow us on social media at So Says Shernoff and at Shernoff Show. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/So Says Shernoff. We have a bunch of exclusive interviews and segments over there. And please give yourself the gift of a good night by visiting our sponsor over at BlueChew.com, promo code JOSH. Join us again next month for an all-new episode right here on Fight TV. This has been So Says Shernoff, because that is what Shernoff had to say. Night, everybody.